This is the Horsepower Hour.
Hello once again to the Horsepower Hour, the only podcast with a salvage title. My name is, of course, Andy. Joining me, as always, is the particularly svelte looking today, Coy Forticus and Masterson. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great, man. Doing great.
Hey, are you excited? We're going to be talking about some Royals in this episode. Are you excited to finally have some of your bloodline talked about?
Those aren't real Royals. You know, they're inbred and weird. So I don't really consider them part of the fam, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, sure. But, you know, when you take your human suit off, you're all green underneath. You're all the same, right?
That's them. I'm an actual human. So I'm human royalty. They're royalty. You know what I'm saying?
All right. That's fair enough. I think that really is a problem. The reason why a bunch of these royals, the people that marry into the royals that aren't technically a royal, die off. I think that's why Meghan Markle took off, because she was like,
I love that one where she's like a robot off their arm and turning her head. It's like, what the fuck?
Right off the bat, we got Darwin Bonk in the comments. Thanks so much for being here. Roy from St. Ann Powder Coating.
Yeah, I was running with Roy this weekend.
Friend. What were you guys up to?
I was at the Steam Up. It's for those that don't know, it's a Powerland museum. It's like 13 museums in one. They got semis and trains and cats and steam engines. And Roy is into I'm not going to butcher what scale it is, but he's into miniaturized steam trains, steam engines, and they have a couple miles of track. And he pulls people around. He's got like a working steam engine. By working, I mean like it's an actual boiler steam engine. It's super legit. You got to fire it up and build pressure and all this stuff. And there you go. Yeah. Live steam, 15, what do you say? 1.5 scale, 7.5 gauge. So for other people that know more about this stuff, that's what he does.
And they're so cool, dude.
Super cool. Oh, it's so legit.
They're so awesome. Like, if you're into miniature steam trains, how can you really be into miniature steam trains if you don't live near something like Antique Powerland, where they've got the miles of track and you can just, store your stuff there as long as you exchange some volunteer work, And I would have loved to have done some volunteer work for those guys, because, they have their automotive museum, and of course they have their tractors and just all of the things. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going to miss that whole thing. Oregon's got some events that are just, I honestly don't know where else in the United States you find them. They're of course out there. But they're, it's fascinating stuff. I always loved watching the steam tractors do the pull. I actually love doing, watching the lawnmower pulls. I always thought those were just super fascinating. The dudes that have like a V-twin Craftsman with stacks coming out of it, and they put like a Weber 3632 on it, and I don't know, it's got 45 horsepower, and they're doing these pulls, and it's on a lawnmower. That was always kind of my favorite thing to go and watch.
Yeah, I watched some of that this weekend at the Great Oregon Steam Up. If you're within striking distance of it, I recommend you do it. It's actually 2 weekends in a row, and it's, I don't know, 2 adults and parking and 2 kids. I was in $40 or something. So it's not terribly expensive, and you can leave and come back. It's all day. It's food vendors, all the stuff. Yeah, it's as Roy puts it, we're dedicated to history and motion for all ages, and it really is. I mean, I saw Ducati that looked like it was like 4 years old there, and I also see some stuff where it's like steam powered grain threshers and shit. They have a working steam powered sawmill. They just bring in logs and fire up this giant steam engine and just start hogging through it.
One of the things, the hit and miss gas engines, Coy, that's always a really cool exhibit as well.
The hit and miss, they had a bunch of hit and miss tractors there. I really like those. And then the hit and miss gas engine, tractors that have, and I don't know what it is, it's called technically, but it's like an open air radiator. So the water cools the engine. Instead of going through cooling fins, it dumps out on like this TP or A-frame screen and then goes back down and catches under there and collects it. So it's just like they're just like dropping the water through the air to cool it down. Clearly it works. You got to keep adding water at the, start of every day. But I just find those open air radiators, I'm not sure the technically those, like, insane fascinating.
Yeah, it's the weirdest, coolest thing. And of course, you cannot forget the ice cream machine.
Yeah, they have the steam powered ice cream machine, and they have a bunch of food vendors there now, actually.
Oh yeah, Darwin's bringing up the Loco Hawk. Is that what it's called? Loco Hawk? I didn't even know what it was called, but it's a Jeep Wrangler with a steam engine in it. It's a 6x6. I'll have to find some stuff about it now and throw it up. Darwin, if you find that video that you're talking about, go ahead and throw it in the Facebook group if you don't mind, my friend. Speaking of, thank you guys for the likes. Thank you for the shares. It really is what keeps the wind in our sails. If you want to know more about what we're doing throughout the week, come and check out the Facebook post. The group is at the Horsepower Hour under groups, of course, on the Facebook, Instagram as well. And please do come and check that out. Koi is itching for a fist fight. A metaphorical, like
verbal mixed martial arts.
Koi's gonna give you a tongue lashing.
One of the things that I most appreciate about going to these, the Antique Powerland Grid Organ Steam Up, you don't really realize, you see steam engine and you just think weak, like it's an ancient power source that just seems like not powerful. But I mean, nuclear powered aircraft carriers are basically just a version of a steam engine. Excuse me. And I always love it when they throw out like the power numbers. It'll be some kind of old, they're giant metal tractors with these steel cleat wheels. They'll be like coming in at 27 horsepower and 1,843 foot-pounds of torque. It's like,
yeah.
I know they're slow, but they are insanely powerful. Like there's a reason they both trades with steam. Like it's nuts.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. One of the most fascinating things I think about, especially the late model steam engines before they really moved everything over to gasoline. There were some cars that were steam powered, not a whole lot, but the Stanley Steamer, that's where that name comes from, stuff like that. They had some fascinating systems where they were actually collecting and recycling the water coming out of the steam piston. And I want to say they got up to 3-4 miles to the gallon of water, obviously. But really fascinating technology. Not that it would have been sustainable long term as we moved into the industrial era, but I don't know. I find stuff like that really interesting. And since we're obviously screaming towards some kind of total economic collapse, maybe I should get my hands on a few steam engines, because I have a feeling I'm going to be needing to swap the motor out in my truck for something that's more sustainable, if you know what I mean.
I say that what you do is get a couple steam engines, do power generation with it, but like just burn whatever Florida has. If if it's standing, chop it down, and if it's moving, shoot it, and then put it in your furnace, generate electricity, charge up whatever your EV is in the apocalypse, and just drive it around.
Oh yeah, that's genius. Yeah. Yeah.
Anytime anybody says anything, be like, hey, just because the world's ending doesn't mean we can't care about the environment. Never mention to them that you're charging this thing by just burning trash. You're literally just shoveling a landfill into a furnace.
It's like the scene in Starship Troopers where everyone's turning to the camera and going, I'm doing my part.
Yeah. I actually was trying to talk Roy into building like a scale sized, by scale, I mean like, 24 foot paddle wheel, steam powered, like, where the paddles are in the middle of the boat. One of those, but then take that thing out on Detroit, like for those who don't know, it's Les, kind of a lake everybody parties on near here. And then just like power up where people are all tied together with their redneck yacht club stuff, just roll up, just burning And when I say rolling coal, I mean actual coal, not like diesel guys coal, just pure black. Like we'll run it. I don't know how to make it so it gets even more black, but I mean, like it's gonna look like we're doing a blackface scene, but that's just us running the furnace, shoveling coal, and just pull up to people's big party barges, be like, "Hey, mind if we tie on?" Yeah.
Oh, you got to shovel in some sawdust too. That's how they get those steam tractors to blow the sparks out the top.
Yeah, and just pull up to everybody and try and get them to let us party with them, and just be just like, we'll wear overalls and just do it up.
Roy says Everglades grasses for steam engine power plants. It's, you know what? As fast as this stuff grows around here, and Coit, you and I were talking about this earlier in the week. The stuff that's growing out in my front yard, it ain't grass. It's woody. Like I swear I have a miniature forest of pine trees. I can't even take it down with a string trimmer. I had to get a brush attachment, and I had to sharpen the brush attachment to start hogging through some of this stuff. It's the craziest thing. So you can't tell me I can't start cutting that stuff down, letting it dry, squishing it into a brick, and using that as like a biochar in my steam engine powered generator, right?
That seems way too sustainable to me. I honestly want to see you like peeling up chunks of asphalt, throwing it in there to burn the tar out of it or something.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Like
I'm
in
in
the
Florida.
apocalypse, there should be a lot of used tires, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Nah, you might not want the smoke in the apocalypse though, because then somebody knows that you've got something going on.
Well, if you set the scene right, have some cars over, fire a gun in there, they'll just think there's been like a battle there recently. They'll be like, "Hey, stay away!" Shrapnel explosions, like there's a lot of fire over there.
Ooh, put up some biohazard signs,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I
You
can put up
flip
some
an
signs that
electric
say,
car over near it, so they think it's a lithium fire.
yeah. Make sure to have some signs that says gun free zone.
Yeah, that'll do you.
They'll just,
Speaking
keep
of gun-free zones, bro. London, right?
dude. I need to be a little careful because I've got so many jokes I want to use, but we do have to, not speak ill of the dead. But I did find this very, very interesting.
You have to not. I speak ill of the dead all the time.
Yes, you do. That is a fair point. But I do think this is cool. So from Silverstone Auctions, Princess Diana, or Diana, Princess of Wales, if anybody remembers who that was. When did she die, Coy? In 1986, 7, something like that. I mean, we were kids. I mean, I don't even know if we were born by at that point. But
I remember when it went down. I thought it was like 92.
Was it in the 90s? Maybe it was in the 90s. But anyways, the late Princess Diana, who may or may not have been murdered by the lizard in a human suit that they call their queen. I'm just, let's just be realistic here. So apparently she still liked to drive. The royals don't typically drive themselves. She was a big fan of driving. She was a bit of a gearhead, believe it or not. And
1997.
1997. Holy shit.
Way later than I thought.
Way later than I thought. That was just 3 years before Y2K, dude.
Yeah.
I'm blown away. Not as blown away as she was. So this is a 1985 Ford Escort RS Turbo S1. I am in love with it. I think this car is gorgeous. It's got 25,000 miles on it. Obviously hasn't been driven since 1997. Very
not by the original owner.
Yeah, this is the second owner for sure. Looks very similar to like the Ford Escort ponies that we got here in the United States that were absolute piles of crap, just terrible pieces of garbage. But this thing actually looks really, really good. And obviously it's very different from the horrible Escorts we got in the 80s here in the United States. And I love these. And I think this one is just tasty clean. Plus, it may or may not come with a free ghost included.
If you got this car, like, would you go ahead and pull the carpets and stuff just to see in case there's like a receipt or something left in there?
I might. Ooh, imagine you find like a Plan B receipt from a CVS.
I'm just saying, like, I would pull the interior out because, I mean, if you've ever worked on old cars, you start pulling the interior out, you find things.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know what Plan B receipt, that'd be a good way to get killed, but you never know. I'm just saying, if you found an earring and you could find a picture of her or the same one, you just be like, hey, 50 grand for this earring, like.
Oh, and Lord only knows what this thing is going to sell for. I mean, it's going to auction, so we don't know yet. It's going to be going to auction later on this month, and I'll be
So
keeping a close eye on it because I'm not going to have anything else to do after my foot surgery. Look at the
I
paint
saw,
on this, Koi. Do you see, especially on this front lip, the paint is just immaculate.
yeah, no, it's it's literally perfect. Let's see.
It is so ridiculously clean for having 25,000 miles on it. And I mean, hey, it was owned by a royal, so it could have been restored, repainted, stuff like that. I didn't see anything into the description about it, but literally the only amount of wear I really see on this car is like the driver's seat has a little bit of creasing, but that's it. And it's got the nice Recaro bucket seats. Recaro, man, they were big in the 80s. Recaro was putting seats in everything. If it
And
was a
everything.
sporty little
Yeah.
car, then it had Recaro seats. And so
Uh,
you
Darwin, I wish this was on Bring a Trailer. It'd be so much better for me. It's at Silverstone Auctions, but that's how we'd know Bring a Trailer or would, like, they've arrived. Like,
yes.
even Europeans know about the Bring a Trailer tax if this were on there.
I wonder if they have their own website called like Bring a Lorry.
Bring a lorry. I mean,
Because that's
yeah,
what they call their trucks, right?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I'm going through these photos, dude, and this thing is just spotless. Now, I am a little curious what your kind of thoughts are here. Why do you think they're getting rid of this car?
I mean, I imagine this has been in some kind of royal storage for, the last 20 something years. You got to start moving this stuff out eventually, right? Like,
When has the royal family ever started moving stuff out? That's like saying the Vatican needs to move stuff out.
yeah, I mean, things are changing over there. Some of them are moving to Canada, some of them are hiding and stepping down so they don't go to prison for Epstein stuff. Like, I mean, uh, things are moving around.
Yeah, fair point. Fair point. Look at that engine bay. So tasty, so clean.
I mean, I could honestly give a crap that Diana owned it. I know that people worship her. But I mean, to me, the whole Princess Diana thing, that's like worse than the Kardashians because, like, at least they drummed that stuff up by themselves, kind of like somebody made a sex tape and got famous. Whereas this lady, like, she just married someone, like, I for literally no reason. Like, I don't know
Well,
why she's famous.
they called her the people's princess because she was a commoner. And even in the 90s, it was uncommon for a commoner to enter into the royal family the way that she did.
I,
And so there were a lot of that was the whole thing. That's why a lot of people were,
that offers no value to me. That's like if I won the lottery and then was like, yeah, through hard work and stuff, you too can earn this. And it's like, no, it happened. I don't care. Like, she's a nothing to me, but I know she's worshipped. So this thing's going to go for, this thing's got to go for every bit of $250,000, right?
Mhm. Alan O'Neill says the royal family is selling a lot of stuff lately, even some family estates. Wow. I am surprised to hear
What
that.
was I just saying, bro? I got a feeling Alan O'Neill's one of these people who follows the royal stuff, or else he's a conspiracy theorist. Go either way. But yeah,
Probably the second one.
I mean, smart money.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we can go through all these photos, but at the end of the day, for the podcast listeners, of course, if you want to see anything we're talking about today, links are in the description of the pod. I do encourage you to click the links, follow along, check out what we're talking about here, because seriously, this is unbelievably clean. And like you were saying, Koi, even if it wasn't owned by a royal, I think it would still fetch buku money because, this is it has sort of a racing heritage pedigree. It's not like it's a Cosworth Escort or anything like that, but this was kind of a start for the next generation of hot hatches from Ford, at least in Europe. you know and this thing, I know I keep saying it, but it is absolutely immaculate. Absolutely immaculate. I'm really just kind of shocked by that. um I'm going to go ahead and just read the quick summary here, but I'm going to do it in the royal lingo. Okay, Coy? Me, I'm a bit of a vocalist.
Yeah, so I want to hear this.
Ordered and specified for the late Diana, Princess of the World, her last full echo, and offer with the 24,961 mile from a private collection. So there you go.
Nice. In I think it's cool. I'm more interested. What do you think this? Why don't you and me just do this on the air now, and then afterwards, if we actually know, what did this go for? What is this going to go for? You think?
Man, I have not even looked at what these things go for when they're not owned by a royal.
I mean, that makes no difference, right? Like, it doesn't matter what car it is, right? Like,
and since the whole world is plunged into a recession at this point, it probably won't get as much as it would have 4 years ago for no particular reason. We don't need to get hung up on why 4 years, but I'm gonna say 125. I feel like that's pretty close.
I'm not going to say that I think you're wrong, but I'm going to go the other way. Right now, there's a lot of guys pouring money into memorabilia stuff because that will last through the recession without losing value. So, and in fact, will be gaining value throughout the theoretically upcoming recession. So I think there's going to be some people wanting to buy this. There's not a lot of Princess Diana stuff that comes up that I see. It being a car that she drove, and royals and cars don't really mix. Makes it a pretty rarefied air. I'm gonna double you it. I'm gonna go like 250, maybe even 300. Like, I'm gonna go up there.
You could be right. You could be right.
Now, I'm gonna go 2 to 250. That's my range.
2 to 250. Yeah. I feel that. And hey, you guys, you're in the comments right now. Go ahead and let us know. Alan O'Neill's jumping in. He's saying 167,000.
That's wildly specific.
Well, but the man's got the lead. I mean, he's in the know about what the royal family's doing.
I'm starting to wonder about Alan O'Neill here. Is this a Alex Jones guy? Like, I mean, is this one of his burner accounts right now? Like,
he may be
dealing with some stuff lately.
He may be seeing under the skin, both figuratively and literally. Speaking of memorabilia, Coy, fun fact for you: the Princess Diana action figure is actually the same as the Paul Walker action figure.
Do you think they're both in purgatory? Like, what the hell?
I'm sure they're looking down on us or up at us, going, why are you doing this? We're pissing on them and not even calling.
I had it all.
Yeah. Okay. No more super inappropriate jokes. Again, 1985 Ford Escort RS Turbo. I think this thing is just absolutely gorgeous. My just personal warning to people is maybe don't drive it in tunnels.
Darren Bonk asks, who do you think buys it? My guess is a Saudi prince. That's always a pretty that's a pretty good guess. I mean, you can't go wrong there. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna go with that Saudi prince too, because they are raking in the money right now. This $5 a gallon fucking gasoline. Speaking of $5 a gallon gasoline, though, Andy.
Yeah, do you want to rake in some money, Coy? Do you want Chevy to pay you some money?
Yeah.
I mean, they'll literally just, if you've bought a Chevy Bolt this year, they will literally just hand you $6,000 right now. There is just one teeny tiny infinitesimal catch that really has no effect on your life at all. You need to be able to sign a waiver that says you're not going to sue them if/when your Chevy Bolt bursts into flames. So this comes from Jalopnik, and normally I don't like to read stuff off of Jalopnik, but they're on the ball. They are ahead of the curve on this particular article. Chevy is refunding up to $6,000 to Bolt owners who bought before the company slashed prices on the electric car. But the money comes with a catch. And again, that catch is that you have to sign a waiver from GM saying that you will not sue them for any damages that come from the batteries bursting into flames in your Chevy Bolt. And by the way, this isn't just one or two of the Chevy Bolts. This is a lot. They get their batteries from LG. I read in an unrelated article that because of all the battery issues that they're having, not just with this particular vehicle, but across GM's line, LG had to eat $2 billion to take batteries back and give new batteries to GM that had updates, basically fixes. You remember, what was it, the Samsung Note 9, I think, where the batteries were just bad and they would just burst into flames randomly? They
they're
have
the ones that if there was an active shooter, you'd pull it out and throw it at them to take them down because it would go off like a grenade. Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember, what was it? I think it was contaminants in the lithium, and it would oxidize and then react, right?
I don't remember the final thing. I just touted up my iPhone's greatness for like 6 months, and the Android people will be like, well, I mean, my camera's better. Note: forever waive and release all claims, damages, or causes of action arising out of my Bolt vehicle, the battery defect, or the battery recalls.
Damn, bro. They got right to the point.
They spell it out. I mean, they have other stuff in here, but yeah, more or less, they spell it right the fuck out.
I got to be honest, is now a good time to buy a Chevy Bolt? Because the ones that have already been through the recall are so fucking cheap. They knocked $5,000 off of the MSRP because they got to get rid of these things. I feel like if you want a full EV car, I mean, how much of a risk are you really taking if you get one of these? Let's say you get a Chevy Bolt. Hold on a second. Let's say you get a Chevy Bolt. It's already marked down. It's already one of the cheapest, if not the cheapest, EV on the market. And then you get an additional $6,000 off. You're going to end up paying, I don't know, $7,000, $8,000 for a brand new EV from Chevy. Like, is there a part there? Is there some area that intersects that makes it a deal?
I'd have to look into it a little bit more. Are they actually going to, I mean, does it look like they're going to recall these batteries so you could buy this, get your $6,000? I'm not going to sue. Or I guess they're just knocking off the price if you haven't bought one yet, but, and then get the new battery put in, in a couple months at a later date type thing.
Well, as far as I know, the recalls have already been made and all of the batteries should be switched out already.
Oh, okay. I mean, I think so. I'm just not, if you have a garage, this is not a park it in the garage kind of car. It's park it on the curb kind of car. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like
you would, don't charge it in the rain. Don't charge it in the rain.
There would definitely be ways I would treat this car and the places I'd park it, things I'd transport it in that would be different than other cars. But for the right price, man, if you're looking for an EV, why not?
Darwin Bonk is mentioning that his 2016 Ford Fusion, its shifter linkage came disconnected because of a 30-cent plastic bushing that was part of a recall. You just never know what's going to happen. I mean, it can either be a small plastic bushing that costs 30 cents, or it can be an entire range of battery packs that cost $2 billion. But either way, your car is not working. Well, it's either not working or it's been burned to the ground. So I'm actually going to take my statement back. It's not a good deal. MSRP on these is $32,000 where they start. Go ahead and take $5,000 off of that, then take another $6,000 off of that. You're still paying almost $20,000 for a car that can and will kill you at any moment and when you least expect it, and could possibly take your house and your children with you. So you know what? I take it back. Just avoid the Chevy Bolt. Just wait. In 2 years, when there's 2022 models still sitting on the lot and haven't sold, and it's 2024, that's the time to buy, because you can probably snake one for like 10,000.
You watch it burst into flames on the lot.
Hey, it's a good thing I got car insurance. That's all I'm saying. Next up is one that's gonna hurt because you're a bit of a Toyota fanboy. Not full on Toyota fanboy, but a little bit, right, Coy?
I'm a Toyota fanboy, but I love making fun of Subarus. So, you know, I'm back in.
Ooh,
I was out and then I came right back. I was like, oh,
nice.
whoop.
It's a crossover moment. I
Yeah.
love that.
I was like one of those Russian nesting dolls that somebody punched. I went down and then just a headbutt. You know what I mean?
So what's going on here, man?
So Toyota, in case you haven't heard, their GR86 cars and the Subaru, whatever we're calling those now, have been having a little issue with way too much RTV having been used to seal up the oil pan, and then that little pieces eventually break off. They go into the oil pickup tube. Entire engine seizes. Boom, dead. Engine shot, just like that. Perfectly good engine. Literally killed. I know Darwin was talking about 30 cents of 30-cent plastic piece.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about 30, like somebody just went heavy on the goop. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the sad part is we can probably, go back down the assembly line, check VIN numbers. This can probably track down to one fucking dude on the assembly line going nuts with his shit. And I
Or
bet
a
it has been
robot.
already.
Or robot. Let's
Or
be
a robot.
honest.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
But still, somebody programmed that robot. So we're going back to we're going back. Like somebody's going to take a hit for this. It's going to be on their record. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They
So-
landed their dream job. They were working for Toyota / Subaru, and now they're, well, I mean, with something like this, they could just Jimmy Hoffa him. I mean, honestly, like that dude just could disappear. And
I mean, all Toyota's got to its name is its legendary reliability. And then they're like, who could we have build an engine for this new cheap sports car? Oh, Subaru. They're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's not, I guess it's really not the engine's fault. It's just poor quality control or actual manufacturing or something like that.
Hang on a second, Coy. This has only affected a handful of these cars, right? Like 4 or 5?
You get online, it's affected cars. Like this is an issue of these new ones. It's been multiple. Like it's not just a couple. And
So
honestly, we're gonna have more of this. I think this is gonna be a huge issue because that's just so far. Those big goobers of RTV are gonna keep falling, and the longer it goes, the more likely. So right now, it seems mostly we're only finding it in the ones that are driven hard. And it makes sense. The ones driven hardest are going to have a little chunk of that come off and plug that oil pickup tube first. But Toyota just denied a warranty repair on a GR86 engine because they found photos of the car drifting. So this guy.
Now, we're not talking about the same car where they include a free 1-year NASA membership, right?
Oh, and one free track day. Yeah, that's the one. That's actually
that's the one.
That's the one. Yeah, the one in every TV advertisement, it's just going fucking full sideways, like just straight Rockford files around every corner.
Yeah.
You like that, Paul?
That was deep. It was deep.
There's such a small percentage that knows what the fuck I'm talking about. Somebody out there's grandma had rabbit ears in the 90s. You know what I mean? But yeah, they literally give a free track day out with these. And to be fair, it's not Toyota corporate that denied this. This is a Toyota dealership. So a guy comes in, goes for his warranty. They didn't even pull the oil pan. First thing they did is they looked up this guy's name on Facebook and found a picture of the car drifting and sat him down and said, "Hey, bro, here's a picture you drifting the car. Warranty denied."
Yeah. And according to this article from Road and Track, the proof, along with the field technician's remark that the issue is common when drifting, prompted him to deny the warranty claim, and the service manager agreed with the decision. The man was provided with an estimate of $11,000 for the repair. And basically, it's not a repair. It's, well, I mean, you can repair something like that, but I have to assume that they would just yank that motor out and put a new one in for $11,000.
At the very least, they're throwing a new short block in. And honestly, I mean, Toyota sold this as a high performance driving car and, market it as being used as track days. I think they're trying to get into that Miata zone.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a good look.
So
Now,
here's another statement from Toyota. Toyota is currently looking into the case. A customers' satisfaction with our vehicles is important to Toyota. As always, we encourage customers who experience any issues with their vehicle to contact their authorized Toyota dealer or call the Toyota Brand Engagement Center. Of course, in cases where a dealer is not able to resolve the matter, customers are encouraged to contact our Brand Engagement Center. And definitely, this is one of those times where you need to get Toyota on the horn. I don't know who's running the company now, Matsuhiro Toyota the third, like get that motherfucker on the horn because we're going to have a conversation. I'm not paying for the translator. You better have a translator on hand.
I guarantee Toyota's lost more than $11,000 because this story's going like wildfire.
Oh, guarantee.
If I was looking at 8.6 and I saw this and I was even a little bit into doing track days and drifting and, whatever, just driving performancely, I'm dipping the fuck out on this.
Mhm.
And it's hurting Subaru because it's also, their BRZ is the same car, going to have the same issue. Now, this guy did, he actually just towed her on down to the Subaru dealership where he should have started since it's a Subaru, but he had them throw a low mileage engine in it for like $7,000. Which, if you're drifting, aren't you like savvy enough to just throw another Subaru engine in this for $4,000? I don't know.
Well, this story fortunately has a happy ending, Coy. Updated 2 days ago. Toyota has decided to honor Blake's warranty claim on his blown GR86 motor. They got so much heat that Toyota was finally like, yes, fine, we'll do it. Just stop talking.
Now, speaking of recalls, and I wanted to get into this because I have a theory. So Toyota's first going to look, they're going to find the guy or the robot and figure out how many of these could have this issue.
Mm-hmm.
I got a feeling it's a chunk myself. And I think it's going to be, I think this is the 2022s or maybe it's the 2021s. I'm not sure which year model. I think they're going to be one a year you avoid.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you're just like, yeah, don't buy that model. Like don't buy that year. But we're talking about like a 30-cent fix to do a recall. If and when, how are they going to recall this? Because there are people now like, hey, I want to take mine in and have you re-RTV. It's like $2,800 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's crazy expensive to get at this oil pan, at least Toyota dealership money.
And then how do you know that it hasn't already partially plugged up an oil galley here or there, not enough to like completely ruin your motor, but definitely has shortened it?
So here's what I'm wondering. What if this becomes an issue, how do you think Toyota's going to solve it? You think they're just going to start throwing new engines or start paying $2,800 of, well, they're not going to pay $2,800, but start paying a super high dealer fee to re-RTV these oil pans? Or I have a theory, since Toyota once cut the corner of everybody's floor mat off so it wouldn't get caught on the gas pedal as a recall fix with a utility knife. How much you want to bet they build like a screen that goes on the oil pickup, like a nice big like sump pump screen, so that even if a piece gets sucked on there, it can just, more oil can get around. And to get it on, you're going to go, the dealer's just going to take a hole saw at the bottom of your oil pan, boop, hook that on, and then they'll make like a plug that fits in that.
Oh, that's genius. I actually think that's too simple a fix. I don't think that that's what they're going to do because it's way too simple and cheap, and certainly wouldn't pass that savings on to the customer. There's absolutely no way. I don't think they're going to be like pulling motors out and putting them back in. I would bet you a dime that right now there's a team of Toyota engineers that are trying to figure out the cheapest, quickest way to get those oil pans off, clean them up, flush the engine out however they possibly can, and slap that back on.
They're actually they're on the line right now with Monsanto, asking them what chemical will dissolve RTV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
and how safe it is to add the oil and then, let it idle for 20 minutes and then, flush the oil.
Plot twist, Monsanto was just like, hey, squeeze some fucking wheat juice in there. You're good to go.
Monsanto's like, hey, we make the RTV. You know how it says those instructions on the back says use the whole bottle? You only needed to use a dab. Evil laugh.
I'll tell you one thing, though. It's really kind of on brand for Subaru because Subaru is the only car I can think of in recent memory where if I'm looking at an older, higher mileage Subaru and it says replaced engine, that's actually a positive.
Yeah.
Because that's
You're
a
like,
necessary.
okay, we got that out of the way.
Yeah, the engine itself is just a wear item and not a long wear. It's something where, like, if I'm going to buy a Legacy GT and it says motor replaced 20,000 miles ago, I'm like, yes, I got another 60,000 miles on this motor before it eventually pops and I have to put a new one on. What's crazy is Ford is going through the same thing, and it's the new Broncos, dude. What a shame. What an absolute shame. I don't think anybody saw this coming. There's lots of people that will try to shit on and dunk on the 2.7 liter EcoBoost. But in reality, the 2.7 liter EcoBoost in the F-150s has been a really, really good motor. The reason why they're having trouble in the Broncos now is multifaceted. So let's talk about that a little bit. Ford Authority reported back in January that a number of Ford Bronco owners were having major issues with their 2.7 liter twin turbo EcoBoost power plants, to the point where 3 owners recently filed petitions seeking an investigation from the National Highway Traffic Safety Association. That's great. Get the government involved. Why not? 12 others have filed complaints related to it as well. And these things are looking at total engine failure. Total engine failure just randomly.
As of right now, we're at 32 Bronco owners have filed complaints related to engine failure. And that's out of 25,538 SUVs that could be affected by this issue. I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses for Ford, but that's pretty good, isn't it? Like 32 out of 25,000. That seems normal-ish. I mean, I know this is a complete engine failure, but I mean, that doesn't.
It's also a brand new vehicle.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, I guess. I mean, that there's that, and if they're taking care of it is the other thing. Like, yeah, that sucks. But are they throwing you a new motor and not talking shit, denying you because they found a picture of you off-roading it on your Facebook page?
Right. There's, I don't know, kind of a larger issue here, though. I mean, the valves are one of the culprits. They're talking about subprime, suboptimal, not good valves. They were cheaper, and Ford went with the cheaper option, and so now these motors are dropping valves. So that's one thing. That's a manufacturer error. Now they also have an engineer error, though. The oil pans had to be redesigned to fit in the Bronco, and somehow they missed the fact that these new oil pans aren't getting the pickup tube down in the oil as much as they should be. So under acceleration, braking, going up or down a hill, any kind of incline, which you typically do in an off-road vehicle, you run the risk of starving the motor of oil, even though it's filled. They're full of oil.
Now, this has happened before. You know what the go-to manufacturer fix for this problem is?
Oh, if it's a 5-quart system, make it a 6-quart system.
It's a new dipstick.
Oh, a new dipstick.
It won't be the same as your old one. You'll fill more. It'll take more oil. That's the fix. New dipstick.
That's right. Add an extra quart of oil.
I think Toyota did that on. Well, I think it was the Celicas or something. They needed more oil in it, so they just recalled and put new dipsticks in them.
Darwin's right there with us. Just run a quart high.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this sounds like to me, hey, we had COVID supply issues. We sold way more of these than we could build, and we just started getting randos to manufacture parts for us, and the quality control wasn't there, and boom. Like, you know what I mean? That's what this sounds like to me.
Oh, I totally agree. You're absolutely right. But will Ford own up to it in that way? Like, honestly, what you just said, that if Ford came out and said that in a statement with basically just a, that's our bad, we'll make it right. I feel like that's the absolute best thing that they could possibly do in this situation.
See what sucks from what I'm hoping doesn't happen. We had 32 of these just pop right off the bat. Is this year of Bronco? I'm not sure which year this is happening in, but is it going to be another thing where like this is the year you avoid because the motors pop and like it could do it at any time? Like it could be running strong and at 112,000, just boom, you lose the whole motor and you're not under warranty anymore. That's why I don't know that Ford's going to recall anything other than putting new dipsticks in these, like I said.
Yeah, you could be right.
Or
I mean,
thicker oil or something.
realistically, I think they need a redesigned oil pan. It could be something as easily done as like putting an extra baffle in and just making sure that, the pickup is down in the oil pan. Maybe the pickup isn't long enough. Maybe if they extended it by 3/4 of an inch, you wouldn't have this problem. So there's a lot of different ways you could go with this fix. The valves, that's a little different because you're taking the whole top end of the motor apart, and that's going to be hours upon hours. But if Ford comes up with a quick fix for the oil pickup issue and it's simply replacing the oil pickup or replacing the oil pan, that would be a pretty simple and easy recall, seems like to me, because you're just pulling one part off, putting a new part on, right?
I mean, seems like it. I mean, but are they going to recall 25,000 of these? Like, I mean, even if you have a $20 fix on all these after you sell you're into these 20,000, 25,000, like that's insane amount of money. And honestly, the worry for me here is if this oil pickup and oil pan issue, it says under erratic driving or spirited driving can suck air. So if I take this to Moab and I drive it up a 45-degree incline or down or some crazy side hill, like you start off-roading and you can get into some crazy angles.
Yeah.
You go to the dunes and you start going down a sand dune, you can go down some fucking crazy steep sand dunes. Like people will crap their pants. Like it's hard to wrap your mind around what you can drop. It's like dropping a skateboard straight down in, and then at the bottom of the dune, if you pick the right one, not the wrong one, it'll level out slowly. But you can drop in on some shit that's like 70 degrees. Like you feel like you're gonna flip forward. Like it gets nuts. So if they're having this problem, just spirited driving, when these start getting seriously off-roaded, man, I don't know. I feel like they're going to just start sucking air left and right, popping engines left and right.
When they say spirited and erratic driving, they're pushing the blame back onto the consumer. In my opinion, that's what that language sounds like to me. What they should have said was just extreme angles of incline or decline, because that's what people are doing with these Broncos. I'm sure there are people out there trying to street race their Broncos. Everybody does stupid things once in a while in their lives, but erratic and spirited driving, come on, guys.
That sounds more like kind of Baja and it, hot footing it through some whoops or whatever.
My local Ford, this is Darwin Bonk, by the way. My local Ford dealership said they are having issues getting the plastic linkage bushing for his car, let alone 27,000 dipsticks.
Yeah, but they can get a bunch of
supply chain problems are still here.
Yeah, but I bet you they could buy a file for every dealership and tell them to file it up 1/4 inch. Like there's template. Like do not doubt dealerships and their janky fixes on recalls till the recall's fully done. Like Toyota literally cut the corner out of the floor mat, damn near every car they made, like for a year. They're just like, hey, we got a recall where I cut the corner of your floor mat off, carpeted floor mat. Like, and there's all kinds of just jank fixes.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see the dealer service memo on this. They're going to have some poor kid making $13 an hour out there trying to engrave new lines on the dipstick that he just cut.
Yeah, I was going to say low, full, fuller.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Roy says Sandiam powder coating will need to go into fabricated oil pan business. Truth.
Hey, I mean, there's clearly going to be a market for it. Like, yeah.
Now is the time, my friend. And you know me, Coy, I've been a pretty staunch defender of Ford. I think they've done a lot of things right. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle this particular situation with the Broncos, but it's very public. I mean, people love the Broncos. We both love the Broncos. I think they're an amazing machine. They look fantastic. The performance just seems to be out of this world. So this seems a bit too public for them to just sort of like poo-poo and sweep under the rug. I think this requires some kind of response from Ford, and not a small gesture either. I mean, we're not talking like a $20 gift card to Hardee's. Like people want to see something from Ford. And yeah, I'm really curious what their response is going to be. As a matter of fact, if you're listening right now or watching, throw it in the comments. What do you think Ford is going to do for their customers? Alan O'Neill rolls right in. Ford recalls are BS. Ooh. So he doesn't quite have my same optimism. They normally fix the problem, then everyone know when buying used, don't buy those years. Like the spark plug issue in the V10. Yes, exactly like what Coy was saying earlier. Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, I got a feeling that Ford's going to try and see what happens and hope. I mean, it's 32 of them so far. That's not very many. Think they're going to throw new motors at these people and be like, "Hey, so you have a soft top? I bet you'd love a hard top." You know, I bet they're going to do some shit like that. They're going to sweet talk a few of these and see if it stops. Like, it could just be a limited run of these. You know, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
But something I'm keeping my eye on, because to be totally honest, there's a pretty good chance I'll be in the market for used Bronco in 10 years or something. Like, so this is definitely something I'm interested in.
Hell yeah. I'm the same way, except for, it being in the market for a Bronco. That's probably not going to happen in my lifetime. Coy, that is all of our news. Let's go ahead and roll into this Olaf that you sent me, man.
Overland is fuck!
All right, dude. First of all, I am a huge fan of this. And it sounds to me like you are too.
Yes, I am. This is Louisiana Grills 300 SL portable wood pellet grill. So this is a tiny Traeger. And I know you're thinking, hey, Traeger makes their little Ranger. And they make some little tiny ones. They do. But this one honestly costs less and looks higher tech and better and just more refined. And,
it's much more refined. This digital display on the front, I am loving that. And the fact that it is $300, whereas the Traeger Ranger, which I don't think is nearly as sophisticated as this grill, is $450.
I agree. That's why I ended up picking this one. Now the Traeger, their MSRP on their website, you can usually find them for a little less than that, so they're not too far off of this. But this thing holds a 10-pound bag pellets, so that's a substantial amount of pellets. Sure, you're not going to smoke a brisket on this, but there's no reason you can't do steaks. There's no reason you could do ribs on this. There's not a lot of room, but you could get some ribs done. And honestly,
you could do like a brisket flat.
Well, yeah, but you're not. I mean, there's no 12-hour smokes going on. Is what I'm trying to say.
Well, yeah, I mean that's true. But when you're bringing this on the trail, are you really going to run it for 12 hours?
Exactly. And it goes from 180 to 500 degrees. So there's, you can sear up those steaks. Thing gets plenty hot. Has a smoking rack, which bread warmer, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. It's small and convenient. Like, this is overland as fuck. And a lot of these Olafs that I pick, I think they're overland, but they're not for me. I'm making fun of them a little bit. I would love to own this. I have a Green Mountain grill that's a portable but bigger version of this. This one, I tried to find the info here. I don't believe it's 12-volt powered. I wish it was. That would make it a little better. But pretty much everything since 1999 has an inverter in it. So if you're overlanding without an inverter, then you're overlanding for the poors, bro.
Exactly. You're not overlanding, you're just wheeling.
You're peasant landing. So yeah, man. I actually originally, when I went to do this OLAF, I didn't even realize Louisiana Grill made one of these. I know Pit Boss did. I knew Traeger did. There's, I think, A Smoke's another one. And I'm looking and I seen this Louisiana Grill one. I was like, oh, that's straight nice. Like I could be on the trail, little Traeger pizza, maybe do some cookies for dessert. You know what I'm saying? Like this thing's legit, and it's overland as fuck.
And fun fact for everyone out there, the father-son Traeger team that originally designed and developed the Traeger smoker, I would argue the original pellet smoker, pellet grill, they don't work for Traeger anymore. They sold that name off, I think it's been like, gosh, 8-9 years ago now. And they actually work for or work with their development partners with Louisiana Grills. So if you're looking to get a Traeger, quote unquote, because you like their designs, you like their reliability, you really shouldn't be looking any further than Louisiana Grills and to a lesser extent Pit Boss, because all of the technology that goes into Louisiana Grills eventually trickles down into the Pit Boss smokers. That's why Pit Boss, the quote unquote Walmart pellet smoker, has gotten so good.
Yeah, I actually would like to pick up a Pit Boss pellet cabinet smoker. So call me a
buddy of
Walmart
mine,
loser.
actually, you know him. We've had him on the show before, Justin Bustle. He, on my recommendation, went and picked up one of the Pit Boss Copperhead Series 5s, the cabinet upright smoker. And he's been cooking like a hero with that thing. It is just running flawlessly. And I was so glad, first of all, that he reached out to me to talk about grills. And second of all, that he landed on that one because it's so perfect for them. They have a small patio. They needed something that was a little bit more upright but could hold a lot of food to feed the whole family, and he landed on that Copperhead 5 cabinet smoker, and it just looks awesome. I want one now, super bad. I've wanted one for a long time, actually.
Yeah. Every time I go to Coastal, I eyeball theirs. One of these days.
One of these days. But this is certified OLAF, yes?
Absolutely. I want one bad.
Overland is fuck! Bro, I can't believe it's the end of the show already. This hour has flown by.
It's flying.
We just have one thing left to do, and that, of course, is our Smokin Deal or our Smokin A Doobie. I almost said Smokin Doobie. Why do I always do that? It's not smoking a deal. We're not smoking a deal. It's either a smoking deal or they are smoking a doobie. And I'm not just telling that for you or the listeners. I'm telling it to myself because my potato brain keeps getting it mixed up. And honestly, it's kind of your guys' fault.
Smokin Deal or Smokin A Doob.
Anyways, back to our regularly scheduled BS. This thing is super legit. I'm actually really, really impressed. And who sent this to us? Was it our buddy Jake?
Jake or Devin, I'm not sure.
I think it was Jake, but if it was Devin, I apologize to him. But either way, thank you so much, you guys. Of course, we always love seeing your dealer doob suggestions, really any of your news article suggestions. If you have anything for us, go ahead and just drop us a line, thehorsepowerhour@gmail.com, or of course on the Facebook, the Instagram. Reach out. If you see something interesting and you think that we should talk about it on the show, send it our way, and we almost always will, unless it's like, I don't know, the new news about GM's breaking the Corvette brand off on its own, and they're talking about a Corvette branded SUV. But anyways, that's for next week's show. Talk to me about what we have here, Coy.
So we have a, hang on. I'm scrolling. I have scrolling issues here. It's a 1986 Ford Ranger. Seller's description: or best offer or properly trade for a drift car or turbo hatch Civic. Also, those are all red flags for me, just to be totally honest. when you want to trade for a drift car or a turbo Civic, I'm like, I don't know that you are dedicated enough to this vehicle or any one vehicle to have done a good job. It's not a for
Ooh.
sure, but I have feelings when they want to trade for import stuff. Like they're jumping around. You know what I mean? All right, it's a project getting rid of to fund a mini jet boat and already have another rock crawler. Like I said, he wants to trade for a drift car, turbo Civic, and he also needs to fund his mini jet boat. A
This,
theme, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, this Ford Ranger comes with a free box of red flags.
Yeah. This is more of a dating Ranger than a marrying Ranger, so be careful and use protection is what I'm saying. Started to spray paint, then lost interest because it looked better white, which it looks completely black in this picture. So I'm not sure what all's going on there. Or if there's only one picture where it's white.
Yeah, we've got some photos. The dates on these photos are I'm thinking a little bit different because he's got all black, he's got some white, really badly done white in some of the photos. I don't know.
wonder if he spray painted it white and then buffed it back to, or sorry, spray paint it black and then buffed it back to white or something. I don't know.
I wonder if
Either
it's
way,
been rolled over and it's got different body parts on it that are white.
has a 4.8 from 04 Silverado that still needs a harness to run, a TH350 with a 1600 stall converter, an NP203 case, a Dana 44 front with 513 gears and a high steer with a welded diff, a Dana 70 rear, never got gears for it, so it's still the stock 411s, sitting on 39-inch Toyos, has a Toyota IFS box. I'm assuming he's meaning steering box. Really just need a few things for it to be finished. To be honest, it needs some pretty substantial things. That being said,
it needs new gears in the rear end because obviously you can't drive it with 513s in the front and 411s in the back. It needs a wiring harness for the motor, and Lord only knows what else for the motor, right?
Yeah, he doesn't say how many miles are on this. The wiring harness, I don't think is that big a deal. You can pick those up. Like these motors go and everything. That shouldn't be that big a deal. I'm a little worried about that welded Dana 44. Like that's 39s with a welded Dana. Like that's pushing it, buddy. Now the Dana 70, hell yeah, bro. Like those are, that's beast. That's delivery van shit. Like that's box truck stuff. Like you're gonna have issues trying to break that. So, and then 39-inch tires, it's big. Like, and this thing, he's got it all flexed out in a bunch of pictures. It's way too wide. The tires are completely out of the fenders. This is in no way ever going to be something that's even kind of street legal. Like they don't, you'd have to make fender flares out of children's pools or old tractor tires or something.
Yeah.
So that, this is not a daily or any kind of nice Ranger, but this could be and pretty freaking awesome wheeler rig that's had a lot of work done to it already. So if this is kind of up your alley and you were looking to do this yourself, you could save a ton of money. Like in my mind, I'm just kind of clicking off all these parts, and his asking price was, what was it? 48, 45. I mean, I don't think I can just pick up all these parts for that. Definitely not new parts. Used, you're getting closer, but still, that's a lot of stuff.
And I got to be honest, his fab work doesn't look too bad.
Everywhere, like I said, there were some red flags, but in pictures, the fab work looks really good. So
Alan O'Neill's jumping ahead a little bit. He says, I read the ad prior to the show. I would go $2,800 just to say fucking Ford Ranger a few times and piss off my wife and then make my money back in parts. He's not wrong.
I'm going to be totally honest. I'd play that song on loop. I don't give a fuck. Ford fucking Ranger.
Oh, here's a photo of it all white, Coy.
Yeah, so I don't know what he said by partial spray, or he decided it looked better white, or he painted everything, like the tailgate's still white. So he shot the whole thing black and then got to the tailgate and it was like, it looked better white. I'm gonna leave the tailgate white. I don't get what that means.
So I don't know how current these photos are, by the way. But this motor looks like it's barely installed at all. Like it doesn't it looks like maybe it's sitting on engine mounts, but it looks like the motor itself needs to be completely finished being put back together. It's a long block, that's great, but you still need to work out where all the accessories and everything are going to go. It looks like to me.
Is there a transmission hooked up to it and everything? Like that's I see there's no headers on it. Like there's no exhaust.
Just clicking through the photos, I'm not sure if there's a transmission on it or not. I mean, I I would assume that there would be a transmission mounted to it, but for this price, for all we know, it would just be in the back of the truck.
Yeah, could be. And I mean, you look in the interior, I mean, there's a dash, no steering wheel, but there's no seats, carpet, no shifter, nothing. So this thing's a heck of a project, but it also could be a heck of a crawl machine. Like this could be a pretty awesome wheeling rig. And for a wheeling rig, like, I mean, as rough as this is, the body looks pretty straight. I mean, it's been fenders are sawzalled out, but I mean, doesn't look like it's been laying on its side. It's got all the windows, there's no dents on the roof.
What do you think it would cost you to finish this project out?
That's a tough call to make without more. And like, if that motor's mounted in there and like it's just ready for drive shafts and a wiring harness and gears, I mean, you're not going to get gears done for less than $1,000 straight up.
Mhm.
I don't know what Dana 70 gears cost, but they're going to be $300-400 anyways. And then you're going to have, unless you know how to, set all that lash and back spacing and whatever witch magic you do with setting gears, which I have no clue how to do and don't actually wish to learn. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I know a guy that could show you," and I'm like, "No, I could watch YouTube." I would like to pay someone to do it that really knows what they're doing, though, so that it's never an issue again. Uh, so there's $1,000 there. You're gonna get a drive shaft made.
Some
Should be-
type of an interior, even if it's just seats.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wheeler. He's got to get seats. He's probably got seats for it. Honestly, I think I saw a picture of bench seat in the back of the truck. So that you're gonna get a wiring harness for under 500, I feel like, and
Mhm.
be able to get that all in there. $3,000, I think you can get this thing all finished up. You're gonna do headers, exhaust. Looks like he says he has high steer on it, and in the one picture he has, it's not. I mean, he's got high steer, but it doesn't look like it's done being fabbed in. But
Mhm.
I mean, there's a lot of vagueness here. But the parts and the bone structure's there. Like he's got the start of a really good build.
Yeah.
Now 4,500, I think he's being a little much.
Mhm.
That being said, if it has a bazillion miles on it and runs, you can get $2,000 for it right now. Obviously, this doesn't run, but it's got a 4.8 in it. I'd like to know how many miles are on that.
Mhm.
But
Well,
those
just
are
assume it's a 200,000 mile engine. I mean, we can just go ahead and assume that right now.
probably. Oh man, this is tough because a lot of the fab work does look really good. A lot of missing info though.
Mhm. And just from the photos, like you said, I mean, there's components missing. And if he's taking photos of this exactly as it sits right now, it is far from complete.
Yeah, for sure, far from complete. Like that's understating it, maybe even. So you got to figure this is 4,500. You're going to talk them down a little bit. You're going to put $3,000 into it. You can't talk down that. It's going to be
Mhm.
every bit of $3,000, if not a little touch more. Get this all running and going, and that's if he told the truth about everything. So you're into this $7,000. Now it's a 40-inch tire, 39. Might as well say 40. 40-inch tire, wheeler. It's a Ranger. You don't see a lot of those. It's going to be V8 powered. That's pretty trick. There's some wiggle room here for some clout.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mhm.
It's
So,
gonna be a great rig once it's done.
what do you think? Could he realistically expect to get maybe 3,500 for it?
He's gonna get a trade. for a drift car with a drift car in this condition. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
He's, it's going to be some kind of piece of crap Cressida with a non-turbo 1J that's not in it with no trans. That's what I feel like is going to end up happening. He's going to trade this pile for another pile because he clearly, it looks like he lives at a junkyard. If we're looking at the photos here. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm being serious.
Yeah, fair point. Fair point. So, maybe asking what he's going to get paid for this is a moot point. You just went over some
somebody's
things
going to give him money for it. There's parts here that are decent. So I just don't see him getting more than $3,000 for this. Unless it's a lot more complete than it looks in the pictures. But honestly, it looks like the motor's just sitting in the engine bay. Like, it doesn't look like it's bolted down. It looks like it's chained there.
Mm-hmm.
So that if he had already worked out motor mounts and stuff, man, that'd mean a lot to a guy like me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when you have to fab motor mounts, like, dude, your project's, it's still a dream. You haven't really started until the motor's bolted in. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree. So I'm going to get out. I'm going to get out ahead of this because I have a feeling our numbers are going to be pretty close. My buy it now price would need to be 3 digits.
My mind, I was like $1,000. So there's enough parts here. I could sell parts. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying, if it's me and this is parked in my neighbor's yard, if he wants 1,000, I'm gonna be like, meh. If he wants $999, yeah, we'll talk.
So here's for me. I'm right off the bat, I'll say 1,000. But if it's 1,500, I'm gonna do some math. I'm gonna go on Craigslist and I'm gonna start figuring out what I can sell parts for. And I part this thing out. I put it on a trailer and take this thing straight to the metal recycler. It's our Ford fucking Ranger. And then I'm going to pull up and there's going to be a dude with one of those excavators with a grappling thing. And I'm going to be like, Ford fucking Ranger. And he's going to do it right back to me. And then he's going to crush it. And I'm going to video the whole thing. Like, he's going to grab it off the trailer. Ford fucking Ranger with the whole head bob. And yeah, that I'll probably make more money off that video, but that's how I do it. And
yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Think I could clear some money in parts here. So I think he's gonna, honestly, what he's gonna get for it, $2,000, $2,500, I think is what it could go for if he's not parting it out just as it is and he's not working any side deals. But I just realized he actually has pretty nice aluminum wheels on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a kind of almost off-putting part of the build that seems interesting. Yeah. So, and for me, $1,000, $1,100, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So there you have it, go folks. If it's a deal, let us know. If it's doob, let us know. Give us your thoughts. Maybe Coy and I are way off base. Maybe we don't know what we're talking about. I have no doubt that Aaron Samuelson is going to be reaching out to me later and being like, no, you guys are way off base. Hopefully not. I think we're pretty close. Either way, let us know in the comments.
Smokin Deal or Smokin A Doob.
Well, Coy, good time as always. Thank you so much for coming along for the ride, my friend.
Oh, yeah, bro.
I tell you what, dude, lots of weird news that we covered this week. I'm hoping that next week's show is more optimistic. I want to talk about some cool things that are happening, some big news. I want to talk about neat stuff that's coming out for just us car guys, us gearheads. Do you think we can do that?
I'm totally fine with that, man. But we can't dog on the doom and gloom. Like, sometimes it's all recalls and lemons, and the people got to know. Like, we can't cover that up.
Well, that's true. We are unbiased. That is a false. We are very biased. But either way,
I call my biases though. Well, I'm super fucking biased, but I'll tell you. Like, yeah, I like Toyotas. Subarus are shitty.
So there you have it, folks. You know where Coy lands on that. Well, Coy, once again, thank you, my friend. Everyone out there, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for telling a friend about the podcast. It really, really is what keeps us going. seeing the new faces every single week. We do appreciate that. And we want you to know how much we appreciate it. Coy, where can people find you, man?
You could find me on all the Horsepower Hour Facebook pages and groups. Just send us a message and, say, hey, Coy, put your dukes up, bro. Something you said was dumb. Or you can agree with me. Sometimes I like to do that thing where like, hey, you know how you're saying that one person sucked a dick? And I'll be like, yeah. And I'll be like, he totally sucked a dick. And I'll be like, fuck yeah, bro. So go ahead.
Yeah, reach out to Coy. If you want to talk shit about people you don't like, reach out to Coy. He's here for it. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you, Coy. And for Coy Forticus and Masterson Jr. Senior Esquire, Duke of Earl Grey, this is Amy Will. See you next time.